construction. We activated our crystal and moat defenses and offenses and managed to hold them off, forcing a retreat, although we also began. We are the Commonwealth of Man, and this is our story. After 4 colony ships were launched into the Oort cloud and traveled through a wormhole, we ended up in the Deneb system and found a hidden jewel, the planet Unity. We decided to begin looking for the Hysonant, the ship that traveled through the wormhole after us. Maybe they are living on another habitable planet and we can establish trade with them, and so the search began. We found the abandoned ruins of a colony. There seemed to be some sort of strange substance scattered around. Our scientists are naming it Zero. Meanwhile, back on Unity, we began cleaning up the slums that had formed in our cities and creating new jobs and housing for our citizens. We tasked our construction ships to begin constructing a new base of operations around a neighboring system with the hopes of eventually colonizing the planet in its habitable zone. With our spare alloys, we began adding to the fleet, determined to be prepared for anything that comes our way. We also began setting up mining stations in the new system to increase our overall economy. Now, more than ever, we need courage and inspiration, so for the next 10 years, our government will begin pushing an agenda, showcasing the infinite opportunities available to us. We began the construction of our very own colony ship and then sent it underway to colonize what we have named the new planet Opportunity. We also began struggling with a lack of amenities on the homeworld and began construction of a new form of technology, the holotheaters. With the rapid expansion of the Commonwealth at hand, we began the adoption of expansion traditions to help our colonies grow and thrive. We decided to send out a science vessel to scout out the probable locations of the Hysonant and give us a rough idea of our surrounding systems. It seems the ship has already found something, an abandoned gateway from a bygone era. We tasked our construction ship to begin our largest expansion initiative yet, claiming several more systems and many with habitable planets. Then, one of our science ships made first contact with an alien entity. They seemed to be spacefaring and likewise curious. On the opposite side of our space, another science ship came under an attack. At first, we feared it was the same aliens from before, but closer analysis shows they appear to be crystalline entities of some sort. Our science ships have been probing deeper and deeper into their space, and so far no hostilities have broken out, although tensions are rising on our side as we continue to monitor them. We found what seems to be the drive signature of the Hysonant in one of their systems. It led to the Melitane system. Then, upon entering it, we found the Hysonant floating aimlessly through the system. Upon boarding the Hysonant, we discovered the ship was filled with human remains, and the captain's log only confirms our worst suspicions that without food, the colonists turned to violence and cannibalism. We then pulled the ship into low Unity orbit and turned it into a museum. Then, strangely, a ship appeared out of the hyperlanes, and we received radio signals in English. We realized who it was, our ancestors from Earth. Then, the aliens attacked us, flying straight into our space and abducted the crew of one of our cargo ships. We immediately sent our fleets to retaliate. We disabled the first station we came across and then flew into another system. The battle raged on for several days and we managed to destroy their fleets, but had to retreat as their space station was too heavily defended. They then formally contacted us and ended hostilities, although their border remains closed and there is no doubt they are preparing for war. Our fleets were scattered in the retreat and we were forced to agree to the delicate treaty, although we began preparing for another offensive. We repaired our fleets and upgraded them. Then we sent them into UN space so as to attack the collective where their defenses are weaker, although it will take an entire year of transit time. So we are now preparing defenses on our border in case they launch a counteroffensive. Upon reaching our target, we realized the United Nations had already launched an offensive and had claimed several systems. Eager to not miss out on our claims, we flew straight at them and destroyed the collective's fleet, then made one final assault on their bastion. The fighting was fierce, but we prevailed. However, the United Nations insulted us by sending in their fleet when the situation was clearly handled. With this first battle, we found victory, but if Earth stands in our way, then a much longer war awaits us. We found this bunker bot computing some unknown problem and have scrapped its material for alloys and rare resources that will prove useful in future combat. We decided to attack the crystal entities on our border. We lost a couple ships, but managed to destroy them without too much difficulty. However, upon entering the next system, we found a structure of crystal entities the likes of which we had never seen before, completely blocking us off from the rest of the galaxy. Then, to make matters worse, the UN vassalized the collective, invalidating all of the claims and the sacrifice in lives and ships that had been lost. Our people are furious, and with nowhere to go, our sights turn to Earth. Our economy has been militarized, and luckily we were approached by an individual of note who would like to command our navy, and so we prepare for war again. Once everything was in position, we declared war, and since our fleets were not in their space, we maintained the rules of combat. At this point, they outnumbered our fleet by 2 to 1. We flew as fast as we could towards their capital, taking system after system. Luckily for us, their fleets had been patrolling an outpost, giving us about a 100-day lead. Nevertheless, numerous heavily fortified systems still stood between us and their capital. We activated our crystals and moats to increase weapon damage and armor. We began attacking the capital, and after fierce fighting, captured it. With its defenses on our side, we posed a greater threat than they were willing to risk, so instead they trusted in their planetary defenses and rushed the Commonwealth border, planning to cripple our command structure. In the meantime, one of our scientists made a crucial discovery. She found a lone Tianki lost in a gas cloud. The Tianki immediately bonded with her, and over the next year grew in size and devotion and became a military asset. We sent her down to the border to help in the fight, while our ships secured the last station in the core Earth sector. Then, after bombing a colony for several months, we launched the invasion. We lost several men, but learned much in the attack, enough to hopefully be able to take Earth. While the battle raged on the planet, they attacked the border. We activated our crystal and moat defenses and offenses and managed to hold them off, forcing a retreat, although not entirely destroying their fleet. We then brought the fleet back to Earth and bombarded it until finally capturing it, and then another colony as well, collapsing most of their government, although we still haven't found the remnants of their fleet. Unfortunately, in the chaos, we were unable to consolidate their entire empire, leaving a colony or two out in the unexplored space where they are maintaining control. Then, because our own economy was failing, we signed a treaty ending the war. We would continue to hold all sea systems and planets, while they would be left alone with whatever was left. Upon inspecting the Sol system, we noticed a planet that was not there before. Locals call it Sol 10, but the government officials refuse to tell us where it came from. Astonishingly, it is a paradise world, perfectly adapted for our species. With the stress of the war and the extensive damages to Earth and our colonies, we suffered a complete economical collapse. It took several years and the reallocation of resources to stabilize and end the famine. Unfortunately, in the process, we lost more than half of our fleet and bubbles. We are now weaker than ever, and the Earthlings refuse to cooperate wherever possible, holding protests and attempting revolts. Stability and production on the Earth core worlds has almost completely ceased, putting a strain on the rest of the Empire. Last but not least, we've discovered many more Xenos in the void, and are especially wary of those called the Scrathen. The only question that remains is, can we survive?